we're here to talk about your
Sure.
horror film. Obviously, hashtag AMFAD. All my friends are dead. Let's start off. Just tell me a little bit about it.
Okay, I was so grateful to be a part of this because originally the director was Kevin Greuter. Patrick Melton and I had collaborated on some Saw entries, and I think Kevin is the Nicholas Meyer of Saw. Nicholas Meyer, what he did with Star Trek, with Wrath of Khan and Undiscovered Country, it's like somebody who was imbued almost with the DNA of the entirety of a creation process, and that is Kevin. But Saw 10 came along and was like, hey, we need Kevin. And that created a vacancy and an opportunity. Kevin threw my name into the hat, and then I auditioned. I auditioned to direct AMFAD. All My Friends Are Dead, and that started with reading the script by Josh Sims and Jessica Sarah Flom. Well, then something else happened. I read a twist I hadn't seen before that took me by genuine surprise. There were these voices and these characters that were like, okay, I feel like I'm eavesdropping on a group of friends, frenemies, and suspects. And here's what was really scary, and that's when I was like, I'm going for it. It was a genuine murder mystery, and I was invested. And then I thought, this took me by surprise on a piece of paper. Can we protect it? Can we find the comrades to go out into the great wide open and trick a piece of glass into conveying what this feeling is? And that's what happened with All My Friends Are Dead. I the cast, I mean, good Lord, as soon as Jade Pettyjohn showed up, like, okay, we've got a lighthouse. I now know exactly who is playing the camera of the movie. This person who's organically on the outside observing this cabal of friends, frenemies, suspects as they dissolve, corrode, like, whoa. And someone who has a steel in themselves of their own that's, you guys are so invested in your own secrets. You don't even give a shit about mine. They're coming. Like I love that because that's how I felt going into a lot of places. You'd see like folks have somehow already become atoms, and I'm still just like a molecule out there observing it. It was really nice to have that. So, also on this one, I wanted to shout out to the two ringers that I have, and these are actors that I've collaborated with before. Peter Giles, who I collaborated with on Pilgrim way back when, and The Collector, and Unhuman, and this time he showed up, and the one thing I love Peter Giles' voice because he is actually the voice of Fox Sports. So to hear the Rams versus the Bears, it's him. And I love writing offensive things for this nice man to say. And I will sneak in zingers when he's doing it, like, well, I mean, what's inside a goiter? Like, why would I say that? Like, you wouldn't. I just wanted to hear you say that. Thank you. Oh, doggone it. You know? So it was nice to have this wonderful, sweet friend in there, this beacon of awesome to say some really offensive, harsh stuff throughout. And that is also to dissect the social media culture that we're getting into with the rest of our cast. That brings in my other ringer, Michaella Russell. Michaella hails from South Africa and has a wonderful storied career in daytime soaps and hosting and even being a CNN correspondent. So Michaella is also a naturally gifted producer. What I mean by that is everybody put on a couple of hats on this one with different things. I knew that I could lean on some writing to get me out of some trouble if I needed to, based on time or just resources or whatnot. Michaella produced 33 original needle drops songs for the entire movie and even our trailer. When it came time to even our marketing, my college roommate designed our poster. We got a group together to make our own trailer. And then with Cineverse, they let us do that. So big shout out to Brad Miska, Yolanda Macias for matching funds, because then when we wanted to add days, they would do it. So we added days. So we gave you everything we possibly could with this movie, which leads to my biggest request of anyone to watch it. Stay through the credits. We do not stop twisting the knife until the last image flickers. Please stay with the credits. I guarantee it might be worth it. Actually, I guarantee it will be worth it. I guarantee it's worth it. I'm going there. Raise your expectations.
Yeah, it's funny because we're watching it, my wife and I, and then the credits start rolling. We look down, and the breaker comes up, and I was like, oh, okay, there's a follow up, and I'm kind of, and then, oh, what? There's more, and so yeah, it's always the little the extra bits. It's always fun, and especially in horror because it sometimes leads into something better.
Mhm.
Um, What's
both were
interesting.
both were gifts of shooting in order too, because
Oh, great.
we had a rhythm by that point and knew that a certain character could now come back, and that maybe we would have earned that acerbic sense of humor. I'm talking about Peter. Like if we hear Peter again, well, he's got to be super offensive if everyone's been scared and we don't know what happened in the world and something is shattered. If that guy's voice comes back and we earn it, let's have it in our back pocket. And then there's one more voice. But I really yeah, please stick around. That this crew, this cast, yeah, everybody, and DOP Andy Hodgson gave us these beautiful images. So to earn the chance to be on the silver screen is something that isn't guaranteed anymore. Because we're in an era where you can make a great movie and the big studio will be like, yeah, well, delete. Or you've got a $135 million movie starring an Oscar nominee, and they'll be like, yeah, but that needs to go right to your phone. But this, our little tugboat, which was finished in a living room with an iPhone, we're going to be in theaters. We get that big screen this August 2nd, and we'll also be on demand. So we get to be everywhere all at once. And that we hoped for. And to see it come back is just that's a miracle for us. And it means a lot. And also, hopefully, he's like, everybody that worked hard and tried on all those hats and stayed up and gave 61 minutes of every hour and 25 hours of every day. Thank you. It worked.
Yeah, no, you could definitely tell you guys had a great time in putting this together. I think that's one of the things I turned over and I was like, oh, I had a really good time shooting this just because of the nature of the genre and the practical gore and things like that.
Thank
This
you for
seems
calling that out.
yeah. Oh
Thank
no, I love that personally. Anything that you guys because it takes a little bit. Yes, it takes a little bit more work, but man, does it look good. There's one part where a character takes somebody's guts, just flings them at somebody, and I was like, "What?" I get it, desperation, right?
Uh-huh.
So tell me how a little bit about how fun it was on scene, shooting this, and especially practically and with a group of people as they're slowly getting unalived.
So thank you, Unalive. That's so funny. Good Lord. So you're talking about a moment in which we had the cards that build our house of cards are starting to fall. And the red herrings we've lined up, a lot of them are quite red. So we at this point, there was something that Josh and Jessica had in their screenplay that I absolutely adored. And it was and this doesn't spoil anything. In fact, I want to use this as a selling point at an unconventional part structurally. So you have your first act break where, okay, you probably have a kill or an attack or a scare there. Then you're in your second act and it's set up, oh, here's how people are going to be stressed out, separated, and whatnot. And then your midpoint, you're probably going to find out some key part of like, oh, here's why a mystery. And then act three, it's down to one person who's wearing a tank top and somehow knows karate all of a sudden. And you're like, eh. And then maybe the mask comes off and I'm like, I knew who that was the whole time. Not this one. Structurally, right before you'd expect a midpoint, the killer walks right into a room before everybody that is still with us. And then I loved the feeling of that when I read it because it was like all the scripted rules or whatever was just like, what do you do now when you're in the room with violence? What do you do now when you're in the room with a murder machine? Now all the characters are revealing their final layer, what they do when the world loses rules. And so that gave us permission to push. If I wanted to go into dark humor as somebody who might be so full of pride and so seeing themselves as other, yeah, they might pick up a handful of guts and just try to throw it at somebody. Even if the guts was from the nicest kid ever, you don't know, like, screw that, I'm living. I love that. It was still a moment to find a great layer in a character. And then when people laugh and go, oh my gosh, they're behind that person now.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
yeah, no, it's definitely a good time in that sense, and you have really creative ways to kind of have like even a soft feel to some of the kills and some of the moments, like the viral moments. I love them all. I'll be honest with you, Marcus, I could talk to you about this for hours. I mean, we started off a little bit derailed in chatting about
Sorry.
Silence of the Lambs and our experiences,
No, no,
but
no, please. Hey, if we have the time, I'll keep talking. Really, I don't need a deadline unless everyone else has one. I'll respect it.
I've
That's
been
on me.
queued, so I
Okay.
do want to respect the time of other reporters also who are patiently waiting to get this kind of great time with you. But Thank
Thank
you so much for your time. Thank you for the film and for the insight. And then also just the respect you have for the genre, to the twists, the turns, the mystery, and really really giving us a good piece of horror entertainment. I appreciate that.
How about this? Thank you for raising awareness for breast cancer. Two survivors in my family. Thank you for doing what you do. I'll try to scare them in the dark. You keep showing them the light.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Take care. And
Thank you.
we'll see you in the next one.
Take care.